Welcome back. Yesterday, President Biden did an interview with ABC's George Stephanopoulos. During that interview, Biden signaled that U.S. troops will stay on the ground in Afghanistan until every American is out of the country. Well, George said it, and the president agreed, even if it passes the August 31st deadline. The State Department, meanwhile, saying it cannot guarantee trapped Americans safe passage even to the airport.
We don't have the capability to go out and collect up large numbers of people. It's obvious we're not close to where we want to be in terms of getting the numbers through. So we're going to work that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we're going to get everyone that we can possibly evacuate it.
Joining me right now is Louisiana Congressman, Vice Chairman of the Republican Conference, Mike Johnson. Congressman, it's good to see you. Thanks very much for being here. Your reaction to what has taken place?
It is so frustrating, almost unbelievable that this was allowed to happen. You know, President Biden established an arbitrary withdrawal date for political purposes. He obviously did not establish or follow any apparent plan on how this was going to happen. And so the chaos has ensued. He said in that now infamous interview with George Stephanopoulos that the chaos was inevitable. There was no way to prevent it. That's just simply not true. We had kept the chaos at bay there for a long, long time. And we could have done it for additional days, weeks, or even months, whatever was necessary, if they had followed a logical plan. They did not have one. And now American lives and our allies' lives are in jeopardy.
They sure are. And for the State Department to say we cannot guarantee your safe passage even to the airport. I mean, what a heartbreak for those people who have been partnering and helping the United States and allies. And then, of course, the women. The women are fading from public view, being forced to cover up. Not a word from Kamala Harris after she went nuts on Brett Kavanaugh. She claims that she is a champion of women. Obviously not. And then there's this. The Biden State Department moved in June to cancel a program which oversaw the protection and evacuation of American citizens stationed overseas in the case of an emergency, just as the Taliban was taking over Afghanistan. So they moved in June to do this. I mean, you know, yesterday President Trump joined me, and he basically said, how do you move the military out before getting all Americans off the ground? Your thoughts on what plan was President Biden following? How does this happen?
Well,
we're there 20 years.
These are great questions, Maria. We have been asking those. I serve on the House Armed Services Committee, among other assignments, and the Republicans on that committee have been pressing the White House all year long for the plan, because he had, of course, telegraphed that this was going to happen at some point. That plan was never forthcoming. It is apparent to us that they didn't have one. You know, President Trump, of course, was going to withdraw from Afghanistan as well, but they had a very methodical, logical way to do it. Secretary Pompeo and the Pentagon at the time, they were going to keep two of our major military installations open until all of our critical personnel were gotten out of the country. That is just a logical thing. My fifth grade son could have come up with that plan, right? But the Biden administration just went in for political purposes. It's crazy. I think this could become one of the greatest. Go ahead.
No, please continue.
Well, I just, you know, it's difficult to describe how large of a debacle this is. And we think this could be one of the greatest foreign policy, national security mistakes in the history of the country. It may be the largest one, because the consequences of this will go on and on. You know, we pursue the Reagan doctrine of peace through strength because weakness invites aggression. And when our adversaries around the world, China, Russia, everyone else, sees us as weak, it harms the stature of the country. And as was said in your previous segment, it has reverberating effects throughout the economy, for the domestic agenda, and everything else. This is a very, very serious situation, and we don't know how it's going to end yet.
That is exactly what Larry Lindsey wrote. And in the piece that I read earlier, the historian Bernard Lewis worried that the greatest danger to global stability is when America comes to be seen as harmless as an enemy and treacherous as a friend. Congressman, real quick, do you think this situation creates a barrier for Biden's economic agenda to get through? I know that 19 of your colleagues on the Senate side have already voted for the infrastructure package. Does that change when we get a full Senate vote?
Certainly, the president has lost a great degree of credibility, whatever little he had left, and his political capital has been squandered on this. I think it makes it very difficult for him to get that through. Of course, we're delighted by that outcome because I think that's good for America. But overall, our stature on the world stage has been diminished greatly, and that should be a great concern to all of us going forward.
It sure should. Congressman, thanks very much for your insights this morning. We'll keep watching. Congressman Mike Johnson joining us. Thank you, sir. Stay with us. We'll be right back.